In the hayloft, Kel and Conor were practicing their swordplay. It had been some while since there had been time for practice, and both were a little rusty. Still, the moves came back as they always did. Muscles had their own memories, as Jolivet often said. Kel had begun the morning feeling stiff, his body half asleep and his joints objecting to being stretched. Now, after an hour or so of drills in the space they'd trained in since they were young boys, he felt flexible, his muscles fast and liquid. The flat of his blunt-tipped sword slammed against Conor's with a metallic ring. Kel pressed his advantage, but this time Conor leaped out of the way, jumping onto one of the hay bales that, scattered about the room, served to create a changing terrain for practice. He raised his left hand, signaling a timeout. Kel let his sword arm fall, rolling his shoulders back. Conor raked a hand through his sweaty dark hair, frowning. "We need to do this more often," he said. "I can barely recall what to do with my blade. Too many late nights at the desk exercising nothing but my writing hand. I've turned into a pudding from inaction these past months, Kellyan." "I wouldn't say a pudding," Kel objected. Conor was as trim and fit as ever. Busy as he was, he still swam and rode his horse Asti nearly every day. Besides, hadn't the Queen been fretting that he was too thin just the other day? If he was having trouble, it was far more likely to be the late hours and lack of sleep causing it. Not that Kel would ever say so. Conor was willing to hear things from Kel that he would never stand for from someone else. But the subject of the great change in Conor that had begun 3 months ago, his strange new dedication to his role in actual governance, was off limits even to his sword catcher. Kel guessed it was because the whole business was a sort of penance for Conor. But it was only a guess. It had to be. Conor would not speak on the subject, and Kel did not press. "We can certainly train more often if you'd like," he said now. "You can join my sessions with Jolivet. I stand ready," he added, "to assist with all pudding-avoidant activities." He raised his sword, indicating the timeout was over. Conor laughed and spun down from the hay bale, bringing his blade across in a sideways strike. Kel responded with an overhand cut, the swords slamming together with the satisfying sound of steel on steel. Kel danced backward out of harm's way as Conor came toward him. They had been practicing such sword work together for so long that they knew each other's ways. Conor tended to be too reckless, Kel too careful. They were comfortable enough to carry on a conversation even as they parried and redoubled, lunged and feinted. "Are you feeling ready?" Kel asked. "It will be the first dial chamber meeting in nearly 4 months. He had almost said, since before the Shining Gallery slaughter. Though Conor was willing to speak of the attack on the palace and the murder of the little princess from Sarth, he did not like to be reminded. He had nightmares still about it, and woke up screaming. Kel, who slept in the same room with the prince, would remain awake when that happened, tensed and waiting for Conor's breath to even out, for him to sleep again. Parry riposte. Conor ducked nimbly back, his face expressionless. "A bunch of cowards," he said, referring to the charter holders, the 11 most powerful families in Castellane. "Half of them seem convinced they'll all be murdered the moment they set foot in Marivont." To be fair, Kel thought, the last time they'd all come to Marivont for a banquet dinner, they nearly had all been slaughtered. Of course, they won't say that's the problem. They fuss about being busy or having strange ailments. But Maesh has put about rumours that I have a significant announcement, so this time, curiosity drives them. Despite the fears of the aristocracy, Conor had been determined that the monthly dial chamber meetings be reinstated as soon as possible.